Okay, we're just about to head over to the cave where I have a new electric scooter. It's the electriQ active scooter. I think it's the eSc1 version 2. I think it's the best budget scooter on the market right now. So let's roll the intro and then take you through the review. Okay, so in this video we're going to unbox and check out this new electric scooter I have here. It's the electriQ eSc1 version 2. It's on the kind of budget end of an electric scooter. Now, all electric scooters are expensive, so when I say budget end, I'm saying it's going to cost you about £200 for a scooter like this. But it's got some pretty good specs, and also we're going to test out some of that after we've unboxed it. So it has a 250 watt motor, which has the ability to go up to 25 kilometers in terms of its max speed and 25 kilometers in terms of its maximum ideal range, which basically equates to 15 miles of range and a top speed of 15 miles per hour. Charge time is around 5 to 6 hours, kind of empty to full. In terms of its battery, 36 volt battery, which is 7.8 amp hours, which equates to 280.8 watt hours. In terms of its weight, all electric scooters are pretty heavy. This one weighs 14 kilograms, and in terms of maximum rider weight that it would support is 120 kilograms, which is around 18 stone. So can handle someone, pretty heavy. It is an adult kind of graded scooter, so suitable for adults and children. Has a 1-year warranty and supports going up gradients at about 25 degrees. So we're going to unbox and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go. Okay, so this is always the fun bit with electric scooters, trying to get the things out of the box. So I've already opened up the box on this one, so you can watch me struggle. So it's reasonably well packaged. So there's bits of foam here and there, which we pop over to one side. So there on the back, put it in bumper. I think that's everything to enable us to get it out. So I'm going to pull it up where I can. By the base, I think. There we go. Oh. This is it. So what I'll do, I'll move the box out of the way, reposition the camera and everything, and we'll go through kind of setting it all up and then getting it working. Okay, so before we kind of put it all together, a few things that were in the packaging. A little user manual, which is basically just a little bit basic, shows you how to put the screws in for the handlebars, and some information about the battery, which I believe actually is a removable battery in this one. So we'll check that out and see if that's right in a moment. And we get a 3-pin charging cable for the charging box, because we're here in the UK, and the charging box is just here. So 110 to 240 volts, 42 volt DC output, 1.5 amp hours. So that's the little charging box. And then we have a little bag with an Allen key in and the bolts to kind of put things together. There's no key in there for a lockable removable battery or whatever. So we'll see what it looks like when we kind of get back to putting it all together. Okay, so this is it, all ready for us to put together. I'm actually really impressed with the build quality. It already feels substantial, kind of getting it out of the box, which is good. These tyres are kind of quite interesting. I'm assuming that there's obviously no nothing to inflate there, kind of like a hardened rubberized thing, which is pretty good, because I know lots of people sometimes complain about having to change what can I think of the word, the valves and stuff, and replace the inner tubes in the scooter tyres if they go wrong. Actually, you can see under here there is a key for a removable battery pack, so that means it's going to be easy to kind of change things out in the future if the battery does fail. I don't have any specific information on battery warranty, but again, there's 1-year warranty on the whole thing itself. And actually, it all looks really well thought out. Actually, I think the version 2 has this nicer front panel, which we can look at. So let's get those handlebars up and on and take a proper look at everything. Okay, so just for ease, I've got it on the little stand here, and in my hand I've grabbed the 6 Allen key bolts that come with this, along with the Allen key, and we're going to show you how to put this all together. So just going to gently take the handlebar out of the polystyrene, and this piece of polystyrene literally just pulls over the front there. There's a little slit in it which makes it easy to get to, and then basically on this unit are 2 screws and then some screw holes on the underside of the handlebars. And that's literally all we need to do. Just make sure we're careful with this cable as we feed it down a little bit, and then we're just going to adjust the orientation so that the screw holes and everything line up, and then do these 2 bolts up. Okay, so there's actually 4 different screw holes for this to go in to mount the handlebars securely to the kind of main unit of the electric skateboard. Whilst we're here, we have, I guess, most of the things in the shot here. In terms of the length of the electric scooter, it's 105 centimeters long and 44 centimeters wide at its widest point. And when it's folded down, kind of in this transport position, it's kind of 52 centimeters at its highest point, and then when you have it kind of fully up in its riding position, it's 115 centimeters. So a good substantial size. But let's get these screws done up, and then you can properly see what it looks like and have a little look around it. Okay, so with all the screws in place, we can unlock the kind of rear section where basically the bell hanger connects into the rear kind of mudguard. This is quite common on a lot of electric scooters. You then raise this central unit up, and it just clips in at the front here. So there's a little button. We have to kind of apply some pressure, and that's locked itself in place. So I reposition the camera, and then we'll look at the controls, the lights, and then most importantly, give it a little test. Okay, so the manual's not actually that great on explaining kind of what to do and how everything fits together, but it's pretty kind of straightforward if you're kind of familiar with electric scooters or just even the scooters and bikes. All the stuff is somewhat rudimentary. So starting off on the left hand side, we have a cable disc brake. So we pull that, it also just activates the rear brake. As you can see here, it's quite free moving. For brake, it's pretty substantial, and I can't feel kind of any kind of grabbing, so it's quite good free movement, so it's going to enable rolling resistance is going to be pretty good. I'm assuming the scooter has some regenerative braking capabilities as well, but we'll find that out obviously when we use it. Next to the brake handle is like an integrated bell, which is kind of cool. It's like looks like a little gear selector, but it's really the bell. Really effective, good bell. Then next to it is just this little clip, which is obviously the clip that connects into this rear mudguard to enable it to kind of fold down and have the handlebars moving everywhere. Then we have the center screen, which obviously we'll look at in a moment. And then on the right hand side we have the plastic throttle button, a bit like a quad bike or an electric scooter. You're going to push it down with your thumb to be able to kind of move it and move along. Underneath, which we will now take off the plastic covering. How satisfying. Looks really nice and clean. Looks kind of tinted to some extent. And underneath here is a little push button that we basically use to control all things on an electric scooter. So if you push and hold it for a few seconds, it should bring the unit to life. And it does. Really nice screen on here. So the standard it's in kilometers an hour. I'm not sure how we can change that, but we'll look at it in a moment. It tells you the current speed setting you're in. There's basically 3 speeds, speed 1, speed 2 and speed 3. They recommend speed 1, you kind of get up to speed with what you're doing. And obviously things will be limited in terms of your usage. I'll put a bit of information up on the screen below in terms of the maximum speed you can get out of each of these speed tests when I'm testing it, to give some indication. It has a trip display, which I think is per ride. So when I first turned it on, it had an odometer. and it had 3 miles on it. So I'm assuming as part of their test process, they do some testing. And down the bottom here we have this kind of sweeping screen, which I'm assuming is the battery indicator. If I wanted to move to different speed modes, I think I just have to press once on the button. So 1, yep, moves us to speed 2. Again, moves us to speed 3. Push it again, should take us back to speed 1, which it does. I'm not quite sure how we turn the lights on. I don't know if you can see here on the rear, when we brake with the cable activated brake, it does force the rear brake to flash, which is great. Gives you an indication of people behind that you're braking and what you're doing. At the time of doing this video, unfortunately electric scooters are still somewhat illegal here in the UK. It's kind of nonsensical to me, but you know, at least hopefully when the government wakes up and legalises these things, we have rear lights, we have brake lights, we have front lights, so it is safe to use these essentially vehicles, electric vehicles. In terms of turning on the light, I'm not sure, so just bear with me as we try and work that out. So I don't know if we just double tap it or something. Yep, so a double click turns on the front and rear light. So we can now see the rear light is 100% illuminated all the time. If we brake, it should still flash, which it does. And then the front light is on just there. So we will do a nighttime test as well to see how good is that light. It's somewhat higher than I kind of expected. It seems like it's going to be projecting up there, but it's difficult to see right now where the light beam is. Hopefully it's going to be reasonably in front of you. One thing that's interesting is most scooters, in my experience, which don't have massive experiences, you tend to have to be moving along before the motor will engage. This one, straight away, goes along like this. So it's saying 15 kilometers per hour in speed group 1, speed group 2, 20 kilometers per hour. I really like the display on this, it's actually really cool. And then speed group 3 should be the 25 kilometers per hour, which it is. Okay. Didn't feel like there's any regenerative braking going on there. But yeah. So I think the next step is to obviously pop the stand up, which works really well. We'll have a quick look at the battery and then we'll go outside and test this. It has been raining a little bit. All scooters, I don't think any scooter is really meant to be used in the rain. It's IPX4 water resistant. Personally, I still think that's for if you get caught out in the rain on the way to work, on the way back, or whatever it is you're doing, it's not going to be too bad. I'm not quite sure how that impacts your 1-year warranty. So my advice is still, you know, use it sensibly. You know, it's a pretty expensive vehicle, so look after it. Don't go using it through massive puddles and things. And in theory, you should be okay. I guess there should be some relatively decent water resistance on this, only for the fact that obviously the battery pack is removable, so it must be some level of sealed going on there. To turn it off, I'm going to do the same thing. Hold for a couple of seconds. We should turn it off, so 1, 2. It turns itself off. I'm really impressed. £200 at the current time of doing this video. So far it seems really good. Obviously the proof is in using it, but take a quick look at this removable battery and then we'll get outside. If it stopped raining and it's not so windy. Okay, so here we have the battery pack. Now there's a little plastic flap on here that covers the key, which obviously when the keys are out, it will enable this flap to close. So we'll just show what that looks like. There we go, so it stops any water and stuff getting in there. It's pretty dark in this picture, but if you look along here, you can see the length of the battery pack connects back into about here, which is obviously then where the electronics are for the scooter, which is pretty straightforward. In terms of how you get this battery pack out, I'm not sure. So we'll have a little look, see what happens. So when the key, actually it's got an indication here of when things are locked or unlocked. So if we turn this around like that, now the battery is unlocked. I don't know what that means, or if it's supposed to come out a certain way, or... Oh! Okay, and it just comes off on rails like that, and try not to take a chunk out of your thumb. But yeah, there's the battery unit connections on the back there. It fits just in. You don't need to take the battery out for charging or anything. This is just, again, if you need to replace the battery, or perhaps you're transporting it, or even for security, you can take the battery off. Fits back in here, and we lock the battery back into place, and that's it. That's a pretty handy feature, actually. Okay, here we have the kickstand as well. So that's held in there really nicely by those two chunky black Allen key bolts. It's a nice smooth mechanism. There's no kind of weakness in that, which is really nice. And if we move along just a little bit, hopefully we can just about see the charging port. Just under here, there's a little rubber grommet which covers the hole. And the charging plug just sits straight in under here. It's a bit difficult to see because it's so dark. But yeah, relatively straightforward process for charging. It does seem to get a little bit caught up underneath the rim of the frame of the scooter here. So just be careful with that rubber bung not getting stuck up the top there. Okay, so just before I head out, I've worked out that it is possible to change from kilometers per hour to miles per hour on the screen. Basically, do 3 rapid clicks and it will turn from kilometers per hour into miles per hour. So hopefully that helps. It's really windy outside, so I'm just going to I will show you me on the scooter outside, but we'll save the commentary till we come back in, because it's just going to be all wind muffle noises for you. Okay, so I included a little bit of footage there of nighttime use and put some commentary, on the video, just to let you know what I thought it was at night time. But aside from that, I think this is a really good scooter for the money. Again, none of these things are cheap, but £200, I think it works really well. The motor has a little bit less torque in it than, say, my Xiaomi, which is a little bit noticeable if you're a big guy like me, but my son's using it and it's absolutely fine. And again, keep in mind that the Xiaomi is pretty much twice the cost of this electric scooter. So I think it's really good, and definitely if you're looking with a £200 budget, I would definitely recommend picking up one of these. Works really well. I'm pretty confident the range is going to give you kind of what you expected, about 15 miles. So I'd say probably 10 to 15. 15 if you're really lucky, but definitely 10. It's got a little bit less torque in the motor than like there's the Xiaomi, for example. So it may struggle a little bit more on the hills and if you're a heavier rider, but again, it's half the price. Everything works really well. It's great it's got the lighting on there. It's great that you can switch through the different speed modes. It's also good that I found out that you could switch between the kilometers per hour to miles per hour, because even when I called the help desk, they didn't have to do that. So I'm pretty happy I sorted that out. And I think it's really good that it's got tubeless tyres. I think it's going to make it a lot better than something else you'd have to faff around with. And I also like the fact actually that you can take that battery out. One, yes, of course, you could do that if you want to try and avoid getting it stolen or something. It's probably going to be a pain in the butt for that. What I think is more interesting is that if over time that battery doesn't work or upgraded batteries are available, hopefully electriq will provide you the option to upgrade and change out your battery. But yeah, I think it's a good scooter for the money. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this review and it helps you make a more informed purchasing decision. Please leave a thumbs up if you'd like to. It'd be much appreciated and help more people know about this video. Ask any comments or leave any feedback you have down below. And please also consider subscribing and perhaps hit that alert bell so you hear about more future videos. Got a couple of electric scooters, interested in solar panels, electric cars, all sorts of geek gadgetry type stuff. So there may be something on this channel that you may enjoy in the future. Thanks again for watching. Take care of yourself and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.